Okay, so I have updated your due dates in Canvas. Okay. I did put some due dates as in like they were due on Tuesday of this week. I understand that it's late. Don't worry, I'm not gonna take off late points. I just did it to match the paper that I'm going to upload in Canvas for you. Okay. I still have to do just a little bit of formatting and delete dates where there's no assignment associated with it. So once I get those finalized, then I'll upload those calendars on Canvas. Okay. The other thing you can do that I recommend is in Canvas is click on the syllabus. So this syllabus here will show you the due date and what assignments are due on those days. Okay. Um, if you go to our homepage for Canvas, your to-do list is the assignments that are coming up. Okay. If you go to your dashboard, your to-do list is everything you have from all of your classes if your professor has assigned a due date to it. Okay, if they haven't assigned a due date, then it's not going to probably pop up in your dashboard. Okay, but this is a good way to prioritize your time. If you have two other classes assignments that are due before my assignment, then on your dashboard, it will show that if those assignments are due, have a due date, okay? So it helps you prioritize your time a little bit. So the to-do list on your dashboard is all your classes. You can even look at the calendar as well. It will also show you your assignments in various classes based on each day. So there we go. It populated here. Okay, so it will show you what is due based on those classes that you have clicked. Okay. But your course also is a good way because that's on the to-do list on the homepage of what you need to get done based on the due date. If there's an assignment that does not have a due date, chances are I either am not going to do it or we'll do it in class. Okay. Um, so don't freak out. The other thing too is if you get to a point where you are unsure, just send me an email about it. Okay? Just send me an email.
Okay.
Questions, comments, concerns about our calendar. All right. Let's jump into what we're going to cover today.
So
Yes.
not about the calendar, but the extra credit note fill out things. I noticed you didn't have one out today. Also, if we're in person, but we prefer filling out on the computer, can we do that
Yeah,
as
that's
well?
absolutely fine. Yeah. We don't have one today. They pretty much go with the chapters. So I don't have one for today. So we're only when we're talking about an actual chapter is when you'll have one of those pages. Good question. So you will need some notes and you will need some information like paper and pencil to take your notes today. I don't know why it's not letting me. There it goes. Okay, cool. All right, so cost per unit. Cost per unit. If we were to write this word per means divide. Okay. So if we were to write this vertically, cost per unit, the word per acts as a division line. Okay. Oftentimes, when students are first getting a handle on costing out recipes, which is what we're going to be talking about today, um, oftentimes they get confused about which number goes where. Which number do I put into the calculator first? Okay, and so cost per unit in that order. Okay, so let's say I have a $35 50-pound bag of flour. Okay, so $35 per 50 pounds. If I want to figure out how much 1 pound cost, what do I have to do?
Bye.
Divide. $35 per or divided by 50 pounds will give me the cost of 1 pound. Okay? So what is that?
70 cents.
70 cents? Okay? Not that I don't trust you, I'm just gonna double check. I have this calculator here. Okay. You know what's crazy? I found this calculator. Yep, 70 cents. I found this calculator in my desk when I took over from my professor. So she used my professor when I was a student here a while ago. She used this calculator. Very sentimental. Even my wooden doorstop on my office door is the doorstop from my office in the old building. I was like, I don't want to give that up. It seems stupid, but it's a little piece of history. All right, so cost per unit. Anytime we're talking about cost per unit, now if I'm looking for ounces, okay, the cost per ounce, we're going to have to do some more math beyond that, okay? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So we are going to focus on, let me move these guys over here. Turn my camera on. Here we go. I'll do it that way. Try the tracking one, see if that works. No, I don't want to do that.
Stand there at the edge of the.
It's supposed to be able to track movement, but I'm just gonna keep it that way. Oh. Okay, so on the screen, we have an order form from when I was up in Maine in 2016. Okay, so this is my invoice. Essentially, what would happen is the delivery driver, I would place my order. The delivery driver would come in, hand me my piece of paper with everything listed on it, and then he would start bringing in product. Okay, as the product comes in, I check off. As I check it off, that means I've inspected it, I've said it's in good quality, and I'm gonna go ahead and pay for it. I'm gonna keep it, okay? If I didn't want it, let's say something was torn, maybe it was all dirty, I didn't want to keep it, I'd put an X next to that or draw a line through it, and I'd send it back. And then that way, when I gave this piece of paper to my boss, she knew to expect a credit for that particular item, okay? So for this particular, we're gonna go through, I'm just gonna show you a little bit. We have the item number. So if I were to call usually my rep would come in and I'd place my order with him. But if I had to call to place an order, I could use these item numbers to do that, okay? They also, Performance Food Group, which is the organization that I ordered from, which is like Sysco or Benny Keith. They also kept like my most recent things I ordered. So I wouldn't have to say order number 78497. I could just say I need Kellogg's Rice Krispies, and they already had it ready to go. Okay. As we go across the headers, I wish I could make it bigger, but I can't. I apologize. Go across the headers. We have ordered. So this is the number that I ordered, and then the number that actually shipped. Sometimes they're out of the product. So this kind of gives me a heads up whether or not I have it. The pack and the size. The pack refers to the number of items that are in my case. Okay, so when I say I'm going to order a case of Kellogg's Rice Krispies, the amount that's in that case is 4 My pack is 4. And the size is 27 ounces. So I have 4 27-ounce bags of Rice Krispies in this box. Okay. So how many total ounces do I have? 108. 27 times 4 is 108 total ounces. Okay. Next, going across the headers, we have the description. Okay. So this tells me the brand, what type it is, if there's a quality of meat, whatever the description of that product is, the price of one, and then the extension is the price times how many shipped. Okay. So the only difference, everything else, because I only ordered one of every item, only difference is our milk. So my milk, I ordered 25, or so I ordered 2. One is the pack, and it's a 5-gallon bag of milk. Okay. 5-gallon bag of milk, take it out, put it into a little milk crate, put it inside what we called the cow, which was basically a milk refrigerator. Open, lift the little handle up. Have you ever been in like a cafeteria type setting? That's that basically that kind of situation. So I have Hood, which is the brand, 2% milk. Anything less than that, the cow was so cold that it would freeze. So the lowest I could go is 2% milk fat. Otherwise, it would freeze because it kept it at like right at 40 degrees. Or not 40 degrees, like 36 or 37 degrees. Best cold milk ever. It cost $24.50 for each one, but because I ordered 2 of them, the extension is $49. Okay? That's how I read all of this. End of this page, I probably definitely had another page because there's not a total amount down here anywhere. So probably on the second page was continued, and then it would add up all of these extensions, and I would get the total price of the inventory, the invoice that's due. Questions about how to read that invoice? All right. So now let's take a closer look at our Kellogg's Rice Krispies, our butter, and eggs. Okay. Yeah.
Reading the far right, the that looks like total weight and seems to be in the gaps. Is that like that box held, that pallet held all this stuff, or?
No, so what that refers to is on this item right here, I have 6 7-pound on average chickens, whole chickens. Okay. So this is the chicken rotisserie whole grade A. And so what this is telling me is that my total weight is 47.5 pounds. If you multiply 6 times 7, you get 42. So this is saying 7 pounds on average, but they're not all exactly 7. So 6 times 7 pounds would be 42, but what they're telling me is that there's actually 47.5 pounds. So multiply that by the cost, and that's what gives me my extension. Okay. So same thing here. West Creek is the brand. Ground beef, 81.19. 5 pounds on average. And really it was 20.3 pounds. So they multiplied that 255 per pound times 20.3.
I think it's not an exact weight. That can be an average. We'll have one of those.
So they'll sell it to me as an average, but when they actually deliver it, they'll give me the actual weight.
Actually.
Okay, so that way I could put that on a scale if I had one. Now I trusted them. I didn't really worry about weighing this, but some operations would have you take it out, put it on a scale, and double check that it's actually that weight. Because in this case, you're paying by the pound. So you don't want to pay for the cost of the box or the cost of anything, any kind of packing material, right? And so you want to make sure that the product that you're getting is exactly that weight. Good question. All right, so Rice Krispies. Oh, was there another question?
Now, well, all this is gonna be on like you know how you saying you record the
Yep,
classes? This is gonna be on there because I'm definitely gonna have to rewatch this.
yep. It's gonna be recorded.
Okay.
All right, so Rice Krispies. I ordered one. The pack is four. There's 27 ounces in each bag. So Kellogg's Rice Krispies. If you look right below it, Malto-Meal Frosted Flakes. So apparently, for whatever reason, I want a name brand Rice Krispies, but the Frosted Flakes were okay being a generic brand. Okay. Um, had to have my Mission tacos. Like my every Tuesday was Taco Tuesday. And those kids in the New England area, like minds blown when they loved I'm like, guys, it's just old El Paso seasoning and ground beef. Like, haven't done anything special to it. But then you take a soft tortilla, put some refried beans, and put the crunchy shell in the middle, and they just lose their minds. I'm like, I don't guess. Like, have you not ever been to Taco Bell? Like, I'm confused. But I guess because we live in San Antonio, we're used to that kind of stuff. Anyways, so Rice Krispies, 37.75, sorry, 36.75. Butter, 36 1 pound, which means I have 36 1 pound blocks of butter in that case. Okay. I remember one summer, probably this summer, I went up there. And my boss, about 3 weeks into the summer, she's like, David, I see butter on the sheet again. I was like, yeah, I ordered it 3 weeks ago. She's like, have you gone through 36 pounds of butter in 3 weeks? Like, yeah. Like the mashed potatoes? Did you like the butter on the rolls? I was like, that's why. She's like, well, let's maybe see if we can cut down the butter a little bit. Not for price, but just because of health reasons. But anyways, and then the eggs. This is my favorite. 15 dozen eggs in 2016 was $9. 15 dozen eggs. I got a box of 15 dozen eggs for $9. Crazy, right? That's almost 10 years ago. All right. So let's talk about the Rice Krispies. What I want you to write on your notes is this AP to recipe. So draw an arrow, AP to recipe. AP is as purchased. So what we purchased, the recipe is what the recipe is calling for. Okay. So Laura, we're making Rice Krispies treats. Okay. How much Rice Krispies do you think we might need? Just give me any amount. Give me a number between 8 and 25. 12 ounces. Okay. So our recipe is 12 ounces of Rice Krispies. Our as purchased is, oops, 36.75. So as purchased is 36.75 divided by 108 ounces. Remember, we did 4 times 27 to give us 108. Okay,
So that was 36.75.
$36.75 for 108 ounces. We're good so far? All right. Do our units match? Ounces and ounces. Yes, that means we're in good shape. All we have to do is get down to the cost of 1 ounce. So how do we get to the cost of 1 ounce?
Divide that, right? So
36.75 divided by 108.
0.34.
So that comes to 34 cents.
Yeah, so you have to move the decimal too, right?
Nope, we're talking dollars.
Dollars, yeah, okay.
We're talking dollars.
Yeah, 30.
This is the third time I've done this week. You think I would have this answer memorized?
So 0.3.
Okay, so this answer is 0.3427,
Yes, sir.
okay? So because we're talking dollars and cents, we're gonna round this up to
34.
35 cents.
35, yeah, that's right.
35 cents. Remember, it doesn't matter. Whatever these numbers are, we're gonna round up to the nearest penny. Okay? So this is 35 cents per ounce. And now I need 12 ounces, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So now I just multiply 12 ounces. And my final answer is $4.20. So of this $36.75, $4.20 is represented by those 12 ounces. Okay? Questions, comments, concerns?
420, okay.
Yep,
So, what is the 420? Like, that is.
Cost.
that's the cost of those 12 ounces of Rice Krispies. And so, and when we're making Rice Krispies treats, we've got Rice Krispies, we have marshmallows, and we have butter, right? So, of those 12 ounces of my recipe, $4.20 cost of that is going to be the Rice Krispies. And then we'll cost out the butter, we'll cost out the marshmallows, and that will give us our total recipe cost of how much it costs us to make it. Okay? So that's what we're doing here. Let me try something real quick off the top of my head. I'm going off the cuff, so bear with me for a moment. Oh, never mind. I'm not going to do that. Just kidding. All right, so let's move on to butter. Butter. Oops, I don't want red. I want yellows. See it easier. 36 pounds at $97.25. I think we calculated it yesterday based on 5 pounds of butter, $5 a pound of butter. That 36 pounds would be $180 today, compared to $97.25. So I think Francis said butter is right around $5 a pound. All right, so AP to recipe. This is how I want you to set this up. This is a diagram or kind of a visual aid that I came up with about 3 years ago. And I really saw a difference in the students' ability to work through these problems. It gives you that starting point and the ending point of where you're trying to go. Okay, so AP to recipe are as purchased $97.25. Oops. For 36 pounds. Okay. And our recipe. David, how much butter are we using in our recipe?
10 ounces.
10 ounces. Okay. We're using 10 ounces of butter in our recipe. So, do our units match?
No.
They do not. So we have to do some kind of conversion. Okay. So, how do we convert pounds into ounces?
Times 16.
We multiply by 16. So 36 pounds times 16 ounces
576.
is 500. Good job. Thank you, David. 576 ounces. So we want to make our units match. Do our units match now? Yes. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and erase this 36 pounds and make it. Actually, I'll show you this. Let me do this real quick so you can see what I did. I'm going to cross it out and do 576 ounces. That way you can see that's the equivalent. Okay. Now I do my same steps, $97.25. divided by 576 ounces. And I get this is 0.168. So this becomes
Or 0.2.
not 0.2. We're not gonna round up that much.
0.7.
2 decimals. Yep, so 17 cents. That happens quite a bit. People think, oh, I'm just gonna round that up to 20 cents. We're talking about dollars and cents, so we can still talk about pennies. So 17 cents times our 10 ounces. And our total answer is $1.70.
That was 576 pounds of butter, right?
576
Ounces
ounces
of butter, I'm sorry.
of butter. Yep. Whew, 576 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm like. Got your ounces, yes. Yeah.
That's 16 cases of butter. Whew. It's a lot of butter. Okay,
Not chiffon.
we see how we go from as purchased, our total dollar amount, to what we have as our cost for that ingredient. Okay, yes,
So how do you get 576?
yeah. So 36 pounds. Oops, am I still on eraser? Oh,
Divided by the,
Sí, pero y luego como lo que no entiendo.
so if we have 36 pounds, when we multiply by 16 ounces, because there is 16 ounces in 1 pound, we get 576 ounces. That's how we came up with that number. Okay,
And how do you know it's equivalent?
I don't, what do you mean?
Because earlier you said, he had said 10 pounds and then, I don't know, I got confused.
That's okay. So, well, no, so he said 10 ounces was the recipe amount. And so our units match at that point because we're in ounces. So this 576 ounces is the same thing as 36 pounds.
Oh, so we just, okay.
Yeah,
Got it.
okay? Good question. All right, so now let's talk about eggs. As purchased. To recipe. Okay, we always set up as purchased, arrow to recipe. Okay, I recommend going across the whole page. And you'll understand why as you go through the project, because some of them kind of give you more space to work in the middle to kind of work towards and then multiplying. So I like to just do the whole width of the page. But it's up to you. All right, so what is our as purchased for eggs?
I can't see it.
$9 for
1 dozen.
15 dozen.
15 dozen.
Okay, so it's 1 pack, but there's 15 dozen. Okay. And my recipe, let's go with 6 eggs. Okay. My recipe calls for 6 eggs.
so you have to so you'll multiply 15 times 6,
Why 6?
because you need 6 eggs.
I do need 6 eggs. How many eggs are in a dozen?
12.
12. So we're gonna multiply 15 times 12 eggs
Okay.
to get 180 eggs. So that's the equivalent, right? So now our units match.
That's right. Okay.
We first have to get our units to match. Okay? When we divide $9 by 180, we get 5 cents per egg. Okay? 5 cents per egg. And now we can multiply. Now we can multiply. 5 cents times 6 is what?
30.
Is 30 cents. That is my answer, 30 cents. Those 6 eggs cost me 30 cents in 2016.
Not
Okay? 5 cents per egg times the 6 eggs gives me 30 cents total. Okay? Now, I want to show you this. Everyone put your pencils down for a moment. I'm going to use a different color so that way you can see. How many dozen is 6 eggs? It's a half a dozen, right? So 0.5 dozen. 6 eggs is equal to 0.5 dozen. Okay, so I'm going to cross out my 6 eggs. Now, if I do 9, do my units match?
Yes.
Dozen and dozen. So now if I do 9 divided by 15, I get 60 cents per dozen. And now I can multiply by 0.5 and I get 30 cents. Same answer. Okay? I like this example because it shows you that you don't always have to change the AP side. Sometimes you can change the recipe side if it's easy. If it's an easy conversion, right? Originally, when Laura said 12 ounces on the Rice Krispies, when she said 12 ounces on the Rice Krispies, I was thinking, oh, that's 0.75 pounds, right? But the AP was 108 ounces. So I'm like, oh, I don't want to convert. They're already in ounces. I'm going to keep them the same way it is. Okay. But sometimes in this example, it makes sense to change the recipe side to convert that to match the AP unit. Okay. So here I changed eggs to dozen instead of changing dozens to eggs. So you can do either way. Gives you the same answer. Okay. But I would only do it if it results in like a 0.25, a 0.5, or a 0.75. Okay. I would not do it if it's some random number. Okay. As long as it's a nice, clean, even number. And by even, I mean not that it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 0, but even in that it's easy to nice and manipulate that number. So any questions about costing out recipes? Now you're going to get lots of practice. We're going to do a project that's going to require you to cost out 10 recipes, okay, as part of a 4-course menu. But so you're going to get lots of practice, so don't stress about that. Not that you were stressing about practice and costing out recipes. But does anybody have any questions? Bless you. Questions, comments, concerns?
When exactly you used this?
I'm sorry?
As an establishment, you had this invoice and you want to go to the details, when in reality, when you use it like that.
When you are developing a new recipe, so when you're creating a brand new recipe, you are going to use this information to figure out how much those quantities in that new recipe actually cost. Yep. Absolutely. Now you should have a cost out recipe for every recipe you have in your establishment. And so let's say all of a sudden, price of chicken goes up. Well, if you see that trend that it's going up and you need to reevaluate and redo your recipe, then you'll take the information from your most recent invoice and plug that information into your recipe, update your cost, and then that may cause you to increase your menu selling price.
In that graph, what module was that graph on? We was just looking at.
Was that
Chart, what module is that?
this?
Yes.
This is not in a module, I don't think, but I can put it in a module.
No, I was trying to find it.
I don't think it's in a module.
Because I couldn't see it in that other thing you had.
I found it in the.
Yeah, he has all that one with a start.
I think it's in the PowerPoint. That one's day number 2 PowerPoint.
Oh yeah, it is here. It's day number 2 PowerPoint.
Okay,
Thank you. Yep, it's in here. And then this is the invoice. If you want to look at it a little bit closer,
okay.
this is just the picture of the invoice.
Thank you, sir.
All right. So for next week, we're going to cover chapter 2. Since we have just a few minutes, let me open up. I don't know where my headers and footer, where my headers went. But I have the header that has your course name. Excuse me. So it'll have your course information up here at the top, Tuesday, Thursday, 2 to 3:15. Okay. I just need to clean this up a little bit to make sure that there is a due date for every single assignment. And there's not an assignment, there's not a due date where there's no assignment, which I think actually looks pretty good. Okay. So this week, your Getting Started quiz was due on Tuesday. So if you haven't done that, go ahead and just knock that out for me, please. Coming up on Tuesday next week, you have your chapter 1 quiz, your defining control, and then proving grounds. The proving ground assignments are for the resiliency badge, a digital badge. I went through a training to be able to give digital badges. And they are completely optional. The proving ground assignments do not impact your final average. They don't add to, they don't take away. Okay. The digital badge is something that you can put on your resume. You can put on your social media or even like on your LinkedIn, your professional platform. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So completely optional, it does not impact your grade at all. Yes.
What was the other one before chapter 1?
The Getting Started quiz. It may show as past due if you haven't done it yet. All right.
Oh, okay.
So again, proving grounds 1, 2, 3, and 4, they're totally optional. How many of you have not taken or are in basic food prep right now?
Basic.
Basic food prep. That's Chef 1301. Okay. So
That's
you all are going to be enrolled in Math Bridge. If you have taken basic food prep in the past, then you will have already taken Math Bridge. Okay, you're going to see it on your schedule of classes. It is only there for you to use as a resource. Okay, you do not have to do it again. They will send me a report of everyone who has completed it, and I will manually enter your grades. You don't need to submit your certificate or submit anything. I will just do it manually. Okay. But everything else should have a due date on it at this point. Yes, sir.
I so when you said that it's supposed to be there, is that like on the Canvas as well? I received an email saying I got a certificate for it.
Okay, if you have college algebra, if you've done college algebra or you test high enough on your college, whatever math test, it may exempt you from Math Bridge. So they'll send me an actual list of everyone who is exempt from, or who has accepted, or who has completed, or is exempted from that, okay?
But you don't have the, from like last time, just before, that, or, okay,
No, they usually send it to me by week 5 or 6 of the semester.
thank you, sir, appreciate it.
They also typically will come in and do a quick presentation about it. So they may pop in one of these class periods, but I never know when they do. All right. Yes.
Are those gonna be like in the modules?
The assignments, the proving grounds, they are, I believe proving grounds are in their own module. Yeah, they're in their own module towards the bottom. I guess it's something to have how Canvas reads it. I had to put them in their own modules. I want to draw your attention to a couple of things. February 20th, which is in a few weeks. I've put in a request to travel to a conference in Houston for the Texas Community Colleges Teachers Association. And so I have not received word if I've been approved to travel for that. If I do, then we will just have class on the 18th that week. Okay. Other things I want to bring your attention to is May 1st, which is a Thursday. We will not have class on that day. It's the Culture Fest, which is the St. Philip's College Fiesta event. You are welcome to go and enjoy the event and not worry about making it back at 2 o'clock for class. Okay. So we will not have class on that day. It's the day right before Fiesta Friday where the college is closed on Fiesta Friday. So we will not have class on May 1st. Your semester project will be due on the 29th, that Tuesday before. Okay. When the semester project's due, that's all I'm doing is collecting semester projects. We have no class. So if your project is turned in before the 29th, you don't have to come to class that day. Okay.
So it's
One
due on
thing-
the 22nd or the 29th is due?
The 29th. One thing that is not on here, is the final exam reviews. They have due dates in Canvas. There's 2 final exam reviews, okay? Those quizzes have to be done before May 6th because we're going to talk about them in May 6th. So I want you to come to class with questions that you missed on the quizzes, okay? So we can talk about them. So May 6th, those 2 quizzes for the final exam reviews, that they have due dates on Canvas, so it'll show up on your calendar, but it's just not on this one. Okay. I'm trying to think, there's something else. And let me pause the recording for a moment. So this is tentative, but there is a potential that I will be going to Missouri State University to do an accreditation to review their hospitality program to make sure that they're meeting all their standards. And so the 24th, the 26th of April of March was those dates. So, oh yeah, look, I actually did put it on this calendar. Okay, so the 24th to the 26th, I have no class. It'll be independent study. And what that means is you'll have 3 recipes to be working on. So you'll have that independent study time. So we will not meet during the week 9. We won't meet because I more than likely will be in Missouri reviewing their program. So other than that, I think those are the only dates that we have things going on. Don't forget spring break. It's kind of weird. Spring break splits up the first 8 weeks. So we do 7 weeks and then we have a week off. And then we have week 8 and then it's midterms, right? So it's a little bit odd, but this is how the calendar fell this year. But I will get this posted on Canvas in the orientation module. I'll also post up a PDF version of it as well. So if you don't have Excel, you can open up the PDF version. But other than that, any questions about the schedule? All right. I will see y'all on Tuesday. Have a wonderful weekend. We're going to cover chapter 2. So please watch those videos before you come to class. So that's what they. Yeah. I hope they.